Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we are back to working on the steam Stoker engine, and in a previous video we managed to get the cylinder section off of the front of this, and today what we're going to be working on is further disassembling this unit, trying to get all the parts out of here. So we'll see how far we get. Let's get at it and get her done. I think the first thing I want to do is I want to get these studs out of here, mainly because they're just in my way when I'm working. I've hit my hand on these several times already, and they all need to come out anyway. So these are basically here just to hold the cover. There's a cover that goes on top of this down. So I've just got a stud remover. If you've never seen one of these, it's just a little, got a little mechanism in there that as you turn the top, it just clamps down on whatever size stud you got. And lets you grip a hold of that and hopefully just turn these out. And it does this with minimal damage to the stud. Now, in the case of this one, I'm going to replace all these, so I'm not too worried about it, but handy little tool to have. There you go. So I'm going to get all those out and we'll be back. Well guys, I got all out except this one I still need to get out. This one back here I broke. Most of these came out pretty easily, but that one there just snapped off. I really didn't even put that much pressure on it. I think it may have already been cracked or something. This one here is being a little bit stubborn and I don't want to break it off, so instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some heat to it first. Hopefully that'll free it up so it'll come on out. So let me get my torch going, and because I really don't want to have to deal with another broken stud like I got back there in the back. I will say that last night I did come out here and soak everything down with penetrating oil using CRC knocker loose, which has become one of my favorite penetrating oils, hopefully helping to free some of this stuff up. So and I think it has helped for sure, but a couple of these are being a little bit stubborn. But we'll hopefully break it loose. The idea here with the heat is that you heat that up, it causes it to expand, and when it cools back down, it contracts. And a lot of times that's all that you need to really break one of these things loose, is just put a little bit of heat on it. All right, we'll let that cool back down, and hopefully it'll come right out. It's still hot. There it goes. All right. I could tell earlier that I was on the verge of snapping that one, and I didn't want to do that again, but that heat, as usual, does just the trick. All right, I can get that out, and I'm going to let it cool down where I can handle it. All right, let's look at a game plan for the rest of this. This is going to, I'm afraid, be a little bit complicated to get apart, but I think we can do it. And I've been looking at this, trying to come up with the best game plan. So you got crankshaft back here. Of course, you have the eccentrics on here for these are your valves down here on the bottom, so that opens and closes the ports up in the head, up in the cylinder while it's running. You got the connecting rod, and this goes to this part here, which just shuffles back and forth. This whole casting actually has a Babbitt block down the bottom, which moves in these guides going in and out. And of course that connects to the piston rods, which connect to the pistons up in the cylinder. I've already had to cut the piston rods. We had to do that in the last one, and we were expecting to have to do that. And just I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, since I've pretty much already cut the piston rods anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut these again up close to this this block here, and that's going to help just get everything out. That's just going to hopefully make things a little bit easier. So the piston rod, there's a taper on here, and then of course you got this tapered pin in here. When you drive that in, it pulls that taper tight. I know that we're not going to get, we're going to have to press these out to get them out, probably heat them up and press them. This is the piston rod comes through the inside, so we'll have to get the wedge out and do that. But that's going to be a job to do over on the arbor press. So I think just to make things easier, we're just going to go ahead and cut these here and here, get those out of the way. Then I can start disassembling all the parts down here and hopefully be able to get those blocks out and then get the actual piston rods off. So we'll see how it goes. We may have to modify our plan as we move forward, but I'm gonna get my Sawzall and we'll just go ahead and cut those like we did before. Put some oil up in here in this packing gland, hopefully be able to get these out. I'll need to remove that side. Got a spanner wrench on here to break that loose. And there's packing gland in there. You basically just put packing in here, and when you tighten this up, it pulls that packing in there, and then occasionally you'll take this out and repack it. Let me knock that packing gland out. Before I take it through this front one, I'm going to kind of see if I can knock that packing out. Yeah, there you go. There you go. You can kind of see what this packing looks like. It's just kind of a fiber material with some Teflon or whatever around it. Usually some, I don't know, graphite, and it tightens up. It'll wear out eventually. You just put more in there, and using that little nut in this little pushing gland here, it just keeps it tight, and that keeps any steam or anything from escaping around it. So we got the front one out there. All right. I got it moving a little bit here, but there's just a bunch of crud on this shaft right here where it's been in that packing. It looks like it's kind of just got some pitting and stuff around it in there, so I'm just got some emery cloth here, and I'm just trying to knock some of that off so that it will go on through the rest of this thing without any more trouble. So much rust and stuff on this shaft, and the tolerances are so tight in here that just having to knock it down a little bit. It's not taking much. Pulling out the stops here, trying to get this to slide through. See, I think we may have it. So there's one of the packing nuts and gland. There's the other, and that piston rod is out. Good job. All right, we're going to do the same thing over on the other side, and hopefully get this thing, we can move on to the next step. All right, we got our piston rods cut out now, and next thing I want to work on is trying to get these crossheads removed. And to do that, I got to get all these bolts off down here that are basically holding on the guides for this, as well as this little cover over where the valves reciprocate in and out. Now these nuts and studs are really rusted. they're in really poor shape. And I think that before I even put a wrench or socket on it, I'm just going to take the torch and heat them all up really good and let them go through that same little heat and cool cycle to hopefully facilitate getting them out without breaking anything. That's the game plan here. So let me get my torch going again, and I'll just get some heat on all these. I think what I'll do is I'll heat each nut up until it's red hot and then let it cool down. All this hardware is going to be replaced, so I'm not worried about saving any of it. I just want to get it out without breaking the studs and leaving me with a bunch more work to try to get a broken stud out. All right, that one's red. So let it cool down. I'm gonna do this on all of them. I won't make you sit here and watch all these. I've started pulling them out, and so far the studs have been coming up with the nuts on the end, which I would have rather the nuts had just come off, but they're so rusted on the top side. The down inside of it, it's still in pretty good shape. So we're going to take it however we can get it. Let me see if I can break this one loose without breaking anything. I can't get my socket down in there. Wow, that was going to be tough. All right, let's see if we can get that other one off. We'll come back to that one. I can get my socket in on this one. There we go. I'm able to break them loose by hand for the most part, but it's taking some force to get them started. Once they start, they're coming out pretty easily. I really need to move the crosshead in here to get to some of these bolts that it's blocking it. I'm going to have to deal with that in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and get out the ones I can get out right now. It's got a lock washer under that one. All right, I'm going to try cheating a little bit and use an impact socket here. That one broke the nut loose without taking the stud up, which is fine. That one there is going to be really stubborn. This side seems to be bringing the nuts up. That one brought the whole stud out. Might be able to get that one. Let's see. Good deal. See if I can get behind this one. Okay. Cover comes up. Like a guide up under the bottom there for these valves. All right, I'm gonna put some more heat on this one and see if I can get it to break loose. I didn't heat that one up yet, but it looks like it's gonna take it. Well, I'm sitting here studying, trying to decide what I want to do next, and I really need to get, there's 2 bolts, one here, that I can't get to. I got these 2 loosened up on this side, but I can't get to the ones behind it over here. And to get to them, what I really need to do is change the position of these crossheads. I need to turn the engine over. So I've got a 24-inch crescent wrench that I put on the square down here and put a big cheater bar on this thing, and it's not budging as it is. So I think what I'm going to do next is work on loosening up the bolts, taking off as much of this as we can up here, loosening things up, and seeing if I can just get this thing where it will turn a little bit, because I'm going to have to do that eventually anyway. And if I can get this crosshead to move a little bit and uncover these bolts, I think we're going to be all right. So before I do anything else, again, I want to put some heat on these nuts just to kind of hopefully help in getting them to come apart. So let me get my torch back out and we'll do that. This piece here tightens up a wedge that tightens up the bearing over here on the main shaft. So getting those loose will hopefully help move this thing on around. Okay, I got these bolt nuts here, lock nuts, basically 2 of them on top of one another, and that gets the main bearing cap off. These are for the eccentrics for the valves. I squirted these all down with penetrating oil, which is why you're seeing some flame coming out of those. That's just that oil burning out in there. See if we can get this nut on the wedge here. Yeah. So the top one's going to come right off. Okay, so what I need to do is, this is a wedge. It goes against another wedge behind it. The top, this back wedge is got a little lip on the top, so it can't go down anymore. This one needs to come up. So let me get a pry bar up underneath it and see if I can get lucky and have to get something different. Look at there. All right, that's a big plus. Let's see if I can get it the rest of the way out now. All right. See that wedge? I think I got room to drive this one out the bottom. There we go. So that one there locks in the top and the bottom. This one comes in the other side on the top, and as that bearing wears, you can tighten it up by just moving this one down. Pretty ingenious little mechanism there. Let's see. So now the strap on the back should just come out like that. And that's got that one where it should come on out. So let's see, I think what I can do here is maybe do the same thing on this one, and maybe I can roll the engine back and then slide these out of the way. I think that's going to be my game plan. I don't know if these are going to move up at all. crosshead is not wanting to slide, which doesn't surprise me. See if we can do the same thing over here. Oh yeah. Okay, that one was out. Next thing I want to do is work on these bolts here holding down the main bearing, and I'm a little bit perplexed because an inch and 3/16 won't fit on. An inch and a quarter is a little bit too big, but and I took my calipers and measured it, and it looks like that's actually an inch and 7/32, which is really an oddball size. I don't have any sockets or wrenches or anything in 32 up at that size, so I'm hoping that I can just get these off with a inch and a quarter, and that one there looks like it's going to come out. So tell you what, that's coming out pretty easily. I think I'm just going to put a socket on it, see if I can zip them out with the impact. Okay. I like the fact that they recessed this casting back here where you can get a ratchet in there. Okay. Bronze bearings in there, they don't look too terrible. That's a good sign. Yeah, I think that's going to clean up fine. They got some shims in here, some paper shims, cardboard shims to get the spacing just right. Literally just some cardstock there, which is pretty common. You see that all the time on these old bearings like this. Well, guys, I think we're going to take a break right here and split this video up. It's running a little bit long, and so we're going to go ahead and stop now. Spoiler alert, yeah, we got it taken apart. But you're going to have to wait until the next video to finish seeing us take this thing apart. It's been challenging, but we're going to get it done. Guys, that's going to be a wrap. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Leave me comments if you like. Thumbs up are always appreciated. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.